Oh, apparently we're recording now, says Dan. And we are indeed. Stop. Okay, great. Let's get going then. I'll start today with issue triage. Let me get my correct window. How's that? All right. So I made a pass through before the meeting as usual. Was able to ping a few, close a few, accept a few, and we have 7 worth talking about today. So should update endpoints when delete service selector. This was yesterday. The bug basically boils down to I took the selector out of my service and the endpoints stuck around. Now, the argument is, yes, that's what happens when they're no longer managed. Though it seems to me like it's a reasonable assumption that when I remove that selector, the endpoints would go away once. So I left it open to see if anybody wanted to argue about that. Otherwise, we can accept it.
It should be accepted. We also mark the endpoints created from the controller, right?
I think we do for endpoint slices, but I'm not sure we do for endpoints. So we would need to do that.
That is a problem. This is one that we've known about and have been scared to change due to the potential breaking. When does a bug become a feature? We never explicitly said what should happen. Either way, we can fix this, but then is someone relying on, because
it's a good question.
Unlike endpoint slice, with endpoints we don't have a concept of ownership. We don't have a concept of this resource is owned by this controller. So we have this, assign me. I'll follow up.
Rob, you make a compelling argument. I'd like to join your mailing list. Given that, perhaps the right answer here is just to say we can't change this at this point, even if we think it's a bug, and close it and maybe document it in the API docs in the comments somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's what was missing. I've had that conversation before, and the answer has been the same. Just it's too old of a bug. It's probably more of a feature. And yeah.
Great. Next, ingress class name. Through some complicated multi-client editing, there was an ingress that didn't have a class name, or that had a class name that was assigned automatically. Through some editing, it became user-owned, and then a different client came in and didn't have it in its managed fields set and cleared it. And so the question is, what the heck should we do with that?
I saw. You can assign me, but I believe the answer here is what Jordan said there, that this is intentional for backwards compat.
Well, what Jordan said is we shouldn't automatically add the current default class on an update. The question that I'm asking as a follow-up is, if we're on an update and the old object has a class set, should we copy that into the new object?
And so you could never unset class?
So, yeah, so the real question is, do we actually allow people to change their ingress class after create?
Yes, I believe so.
Is that an accident or a meaningful thing?
I mean, I feel like it's essentially the same as deleting and recreating, and if it's a legitimate thing you'd want to delete and recreate for, then we're just adding extra effort if you can't just update. So I would call that intentional.
So then if a user clears it, are they saying I want it to have no value, or are they saying I want it reset to the default?
I feel like that would have to be interpreted as no value. I don't want any ingress controller to touch this right now. would be one
Even-
interpretation of that.
Even though if I created that same object, I would get the default.
That's fair. Yeah.
That violates the API standards.
Yeah, that's a little wonky.
But on creation, doesn't the ingress class name get set on the final object? Like when you store it, it actually has it versus on update, if you remove it, it'll still be empty. It's not exactly the same.
Well, I mean, on create, sorry, ingress class name is a pointer because it's an optional field, right? So on initial create, if it's nil, then we assign it the default, right? If it's an empty string, do we leave it? The user went out of their way to say ingress class, quote, quote.
I
And
have to double check.
a storage class leaves that intentionally as meaning no class.
I would assume we did the same because the logic is almost copy paste verbatim from storage class.
So now on an update, if I send an update that has the ingress class nil, do I assign the default as if it was on a create? Or do I leave it nil, which is otherwise not an achievable value? Or do I copy the old value from the old, like a patch? I want to be careful that we don't like start this precedent of open coding patch all over the place. We do it in a few places in service already, and it's, you know, dangerous every time we do it. I see Cal shaking his head. He knows exactly where the bodies are buried.
Would this not have the same? I'm surprised this wouldn't have already come up with storage class. It feels like we need to, or I can double check that. But either way, yeah, you could assign to me.
Isn't storage class immutable?
I think storage class doesn't allow you to change it.
Oh, okay.
All right, well,
Yeah,
it's
that
assigned to you to
makes
take a look. If it turns out we're still not sure what to do, bring it back and we can talk about it next time.
Sounds good.
Allow pods to enter the host's C group namespace. C group namespace. So that is which C groups your process can see, which is new in C group 2, I think. So the question here is, some CNI is like Cilium, and apparently Calico also somewhere was said, Calico here, yep, want to access the root C groups, but from their container they can't because they're namespace off. And so the request here is something like host C groups true, like we have host network and host PID and host IPC, which, you know, I wrote my comment here, you can see it. It feels different to me. I'm not sure it is different, but it feels different.
It is different because you can mount the file system inside the pod and you get the same result if it's privileged, right? The host networking is something you cannot access unless you're either privileged or inside the host network, right?
In order to do it, though, you have to run a privileged init container, right? And then run it. So like you have to have super privileges to make this happen anyway.
Anyway, right, exactly. But for like that, okay, let me repeat that. There are two components to your question, right? Networking namespaces are something you have to enter. Somebody has to let you in, or you have to enter it yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing about the C groups, it's a file system, so you should be able to mount it inside your pod.
That's true.
Yeah.
So the fact that a workaround exists is one argument. We have at least two CNI implementers asking for it. So this obviously is tagged with SIG node too.
Assign me to it, and I'll do something.
I look forward to seeing the discussion on this one. We have a bug report with the bounded frequency runner that could go infinite. I will assign myself unless Dan is here and wants to take a look at it too. All right. I mean, unless anybody else wants to take this one. Health check node port on a specific IP address. So we've already added somewhere node port addresses as a flag. They're asking that this or something equivalent applies to health check node port, which seems reasonable to me. I guess we should just accept this one. Sounds like a feature request. Anybody want to argue? All right. Here we have this this person reported losing IP addresses from the service allocator during their conformance tests, and they say that they can run it, they can recreate it on every conformance test. So I asked for logs, and we'll see what happens. If anybody feels like digging into, you want to see if you can dig in?
Yeah. One of the tragedy.
I wonder if it's happening all the time and we're just not seeing it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one is a GKE reported issue, although I don't really believe it's just GKE because there's nothing that is special there. But this issue was closed and then reopened when they said that that it was happening again. So I pinged Rob, Pavitra, and Bowie. Up to you guys to figure out what we want to do with it.
Yeah, I just saw this one. Feel free to, I may already be assigned on this. This seems familiar.
You are.
Yeah, okay.
It was closed and then they said they can reproduce it on 19, so.
Okay. I'll take another look. It is very strange that it does not work. It's only reproducible without data plane v2.
Yeah, something's wonky there.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. That's the triage, folks. So that's the issue triage. I threw cat triage on the agenda too. Let me share my screen again. Hold on. Let me flip windows. How do I move this guy? Move to another workspace one. Window. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? I lost it. It's not finding it. SIG Network caps. There we go. All right. So today is the last day of code freeze, or the last day before code freeze, rather. A lot of PRs have gone in the last few days. I've tried to keep them moving forward on the board, but it's not guaranteed that I caught them all. So maybe quickly run through them and see if anybody knows something about them that I don't. Kube proxy package to staging. This is Ricardo's work. I don't think this has moved forward, right?
No.
Okay. Config map and command line. Is Jay here? Okay. The proposal to probe from a pod's network namespace, I don't think has gone anywhere yet. All right. This column is stuff we thought we were going to try to get moving forward. So cluster network policy is, there's nothing in tree actually, so it's not moving forward, right?
Yeah, I think we just decided to remove the IP block use case from the cluster network policy. So we made the change accordingly. And I was hoping that maybe we can have a, all the interested folks can perhaps meet at a later time to resolve some of the outstanding issues, and I can prepare the agenda for that. But if the Monday network policy API meeting works for all, maybe I can send an invite and probably a mail. So
Sure, that sounds reasonable.
Okay.
This one I brought back from the dead. Apparently it got closed. But this is one that got merged and then reverted last cycle. And then somehow the enhancement issue got closed. This is the IP mode flag, whether it's a VIP or a proxy. I don't know if anybody knows anything about it. I just brought it back today.
I mean, so I wasn't involved in the implementation like first time around, but I do have like a lot of context on that. So if no one wants to take it, I'm happy to reassign it or take it myself.
Okay, I pinged the PR that was on the revert. Hopefully we can just revert the revert with a few fix-ups to rebase and bring it back, but it's too late now. I wish I'd thought of this one 3 weeks ago.
I don't think it
So
would
it's
revisit the whole cap. Like I know some folks had opinions about like whether status is the right, or the terms like VIP and proxy were even the right terms for it. So
okay.
revisit the cap in 123 if you think that's what.
All right, let's do that. This is kuproxy next generation. This is not going forward right now. Node multi-sider, I don't know if Rahul is here. Rob or Bowie or somebody, do you know, is there any progress on this one? I didn't see any significant updates.
I have not seen any progress either. I can double check real quick. I'll hang on hold.
Okay, I mean, it's the last day, so like,
Probably not.
unless it's like completely perfect and will pass the first code review, it's not going very far.
Yeah.
How this will work with the fact that Node IPAM moved to external cloud provider? Maybe
This is a different,
yeah.
It's a different mode. So you can choose mode equals cloud or mode equals
Okay.
Range, or this new one, I forget what they called it. Dual stack API server. I don't know if Dan is here. Okay. All ports is not ready to move forward yet. Host IPs. Was this, I don't even remember what this one was. Oh, was this just the plural, the plural form of host IP? Nobody remembers? All right, well, I didn't review it in the last few weeks, so I don't think it's moving forward. gRPC, I know Bowie wanted to take a look at this. Bowie, are you here? Or does anybody know, did he actually do anything here? I didn't see any PRs assigned to him.
Yeah, he's out this week, so I don't think that's going anywhere.
Okay. All right. This is where you tell me if I missed moving it forward now. These things I think are still alpha, which is to say they're merged, but the gate is still says alpha. So there's graceful termination for local endpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. So that one merged. This release, that was the one with the fallback terminating kuproxy. I think like this one and the one after tracking terminating endpoints are related because the first one depends on the second one.
But they're both alpha still, all right?
Yes, but I think there is a case to be made for promoting just the terminating condition and endpoint slice to beta ahead of the kuproxy logic to fall back to terminating. And like it's like code feature today, but like I don't think it'd be too hard to like bump that to beta today if we felt like just promoting or enabling the terminating condition by default is worthwhile in this release, because that was added in like 20, I think.
Yeah, if I recall, it was a pretty straightforward patch too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to send me that like in the next 3 hours, I will look at it.
Sure, we'll do.
Okay. Expanded DNS configuration. I think this one just went to alpha in this cycle. Mixed protocol load balancers. Antonio and I talked about this a while back. This can't really go past alpha until we know that multiple cloud providers are implementing this. And as far as I know, nobody is yet. Is anybody? Am I wrong? Okay. And topology aware hints, that is still gated alpha, right, Rob?
That's right. It took me a second to unmute, but still alpha. Did not get as much progress as I hoped for this cycle, but hoping to get to beta in the next one.
Okay. These are things that are merged and marked beta. And a bunch of things.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I pasted a link in the chat to a KEP that is actually merged, and I believe it's an alpha, but has been so since 2018 because it wasn't moved to the new place.
This
It's
is the one
a
you just
CNI.
opened. Yes.
Yeah, CNI bandwidth thing.
Are there any gates on this? No, it's.
No, I just took it from the old place and made a pull request. I didn't even know how to get this tracking number.
You open an issue in the enhancements repo, and then the issue number is your KEP number.
Okay, then I open an issue and assign it. But I believe it should actually be in the alpha column. It's not a new.
Was this? It was implemented in CNI?
Yeah, in 2 CNIs or 3. I don't know. I have got the information from other persons here, so I haven't tested it. I have just moved it.
Okay.
But I got link for 3 CNIs. I pasted them in the pull request. It's
okay.
VMware and Cilium and Calico.
Okay, I didn't get a chance to look at this since you opened it. Since there's no gates, it's not actually like Kubernetes code. That's fine. We don't need to hit it for the code freeze. Once you open the issue, then assign the issue to the SIG Network KEPs project, right? In the, oh, you're not looking at this. Well, whatever. Under, on the right side, there's a project, and you can choose. You should be able to choose SIG Network KEPs, and if not, just ping me and I'll do it. And then it'll appear on this board in the new column, and then we can sort it out next time.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you. All right, so these ones are currently marked beta. There's dual stack. There's a network policy port ranges. There's internal traffic policy. Many of these just went beta this cycle. Congratulations. Endpoint slice. Are we going to move that to GA, Rob or Sweta?
Yes, we can move it to GA. All the gates have been graduated. I don't think there's anything left but removing it eventually.
Are those all merged?
Yep.
Whoop. Yay. Everybody celebrate. Yay. It's one that we get out of the way. All right.
One day, hopefully soon, we will turn off the endpoint controller altogether. But
yeah,
I'll keep
doubt
dreaming.
that. I doubt that. Compatibility, my friend. Namespace, scoped, ingress, class parameters. That's still beta. Disable node ports for type load balancer just went beta. And load balancer class is still beta. As far as I know, those are correct.
Yep.
And then in the GA column, we have, these are just waiting for their expiry periods before we can get rid of them, close the issues, and call them complete. So we've got fully qualified domain names. We've got endpoint slice now. We have metadata labels and clarified node role labels, all of which I think within 2 releases will be done, except for the new one. That'll be 3. And then we've got a kube proxy, which has no gates, which we have to figure out. All right, questions on the KEP board? This is looking much healthier than it was a few months ago. I feel a lot less overwhelmed now that I have them in here, although there are a number, I wish there was a way to express the relationships between them. Like Andrew, you were saying, this one depends on that one. It's just, we have to track it manually in brain space. All right, no questions on here, then I'll stop my share again. Did anybody have other topics they want to talk about today? Nothing? Okay, I can give people their half hour back. If you are going to send me these last second PRs, please send them to me and ping me on Slack so that I don't lose track of them over the next couple of hours. Last chance if anybody wants to bring any topics up. All righty, good attendance today. All right, well, I will stop the recording.